Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you? Let me see who's here. Nancy. Good morning. Joanne. Good morning. Pollyanna, back for more. I think you were in Thursday, right? And I know, sorry, I haven't got back to you yet. Um, Today, definitely, well, Thursday is definitely my more challenging class in terms of physical practice. Today will definitely be good. I mean, we're going to do some stretching for sure. Lynn, hello, and probably Dave, Steve, if you're out there, Lee, if you're out there. Um, what's the angel, Lynn? The sun? Yeah. All right. So, anything anybody wants to report, please do so. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I remember one time I made that a theme of the class when I said speak now or forever hold your peace, right? So I definitely have some things I'm thinking of doing today, but if you would like to ask for anything, request anything in particular, I'd love to hear about that. Yes, happy Saturday, Pat. You are such a happy camper. When you say happy Saturday, I think of you and your smile and you being happy. Oh, well, you're an angel, Lynn. All right, low back tightness. Oh, wow, Pollyanna. I was definitely going to be focusing on that. So I go to this functional chiropractor, and of course, I haven't been to him for 2 years because when the pandemic first started, I didn't go just because, there was just whatever. And my husband's type 1 diabetic, so I try to really be careful and not go very many places. So I went back to him this week, and oh my goodness, he taught me a low back stretch, Pollyanna, that is like ridiculous. So amazing, like the total lower back. You have to do it though standing and with the door and all that, so it's not necessarily something we could do here, although I will do something today that kind of emulates that. But my focus today was going to be on reducing the tension of the pelvis and trying to get a softness to come into our whole midsection of our body. And that's actually going to help to minimize tension in the low back, because whatever happens above and whatever happens below, especially if there's dysfunctional patterns in our body, which for most of us we have, and especially as we age, whatever we've accumulated over the years, that's in our tissues. And so learning how to soften and loosen the areas of holding in our body can be really powerful for reducing tension in our body, held stress in our body. And one muscle does one thing, and the other opposite side of that muscle, there's an antagonist and protagonist. Is that what it is? And they're not even that, because it's not a good or a bad. But there's one side and then the other. So there's the bicep, tricep, right? And they're going to mobilize this shoulder, this elbow joint. One of them, this bicep's going to contract and it's going to add flexion. And then when you extend the elbow, you have the opposite muscle doing the job. So really thinking about both sides of them. And if one is tight, that's what holds the body in an asymmetrical or uneven position. So anyway, let me see. Oh, thank you, Joanne. I feel I'm so bored with all my clothes. I was cleaning out my closet. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just have like such limitations in what I have, but maybe we all feel that way, or I don't know. I'm also doing a lot of videos and I'm in a lot of things. I see myself, and maybe that's part of it. I'm like, oh God, that again. I actually had this thought, Joanne, that I really need to actually get rid of most of what I own and get new things. Not a large quantity, but Anyway, back stuff. Okay, Nancy, definitely. Aw, Lynn. Good morning, Carolyn. Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, Pollyanna, most of us do, and a lot of us here do today too. All right. So I am going to go back, and if you're not subscribed already to my channel, please subscribe. I am on a mission to get over the 1K mark, and like if you like, and if you don't like, let's have a discussion. Because I'm always willing to work on things. All right, here we go. So let's go back. Back to basics? I don't know. This class used to be called Yoga Basics. When I first started teaching for the hospital, this is what they called this class, Yoga Basics. Well, if we're going to be really basic with yoga, here's what I'd like to say about yoga. It is mind, body, soul connection. It is finding peace in the moment, staying in your moment. And when you really think about it, and when you really learn and practice in that place more often, you realize how luxurious, how lovely, how amazing, and how peaceful the present moment is most of the time. And it's only when we're living in the past that brings up depressive thoughts, depressive emotions, right? What we used to be, what we used to have, how life used to be, the good times. And we always remember the past with good memories, it seems, or often anyway. And then the futuristic thoughts, that leads to anxiety because there's the fear of the unknown and what's going to be. And is there hopelessness, or is there hope, or is there fear of the future? What will be? So I'd really like to say that the more you can sing, the more you can bring in que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see, que sera, sera. That is so true. Be in your que sera, sera, what is, right? Que sera, sera, I believe, what is the direct translation of that. The moment, right now, this. So I'd like you to look around your space without judgment, without, oh my gosh, I need to change this, or none of that, or that's dirty, or this. No. I want you to look at what you're on. What surface are you on? Is it a natural fabric? Is it synthetic? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it cold? Is it damp? Is it dry? What are the qualities of what you're on? And then your mat, if you have one, what color is it? What does it feel like? Did you purchase this yourself? Because if you did, you probably picked out a color that you like. Or maybe there was another motivation. This one was on sale. And if that's the case, I want you to think about that too, because we have to do good things for ourselves. And self-care is a big, huge aspect of happiness, of health, of everything. And so then we're going to go into your body, where you are. So just close your eyes wherever you are, sitting in whatever position you can sit in. And you had your visual time. You saw what was around you. And now you're going to do your listening. And I want you to think about humans from the beginning of humankind on this earth. Most of the wisdom that has been shared from human to human has been oral and aural, mouth and ear, spoken, remembered, practiced, desire to share with the next generation, the next generation, and the next generation. All the oral traditions all around the world. And then your people have those traditions as well. So I'd like you to go to the traditions of your lineage. What are some of the wisdom pieces that were shared by your lineage, by your family, by your grandparents? And some of the ones I think about are things like sit up tall. And oh my gosh, they were so right. That's leading to so much dysfunction, pain, suffering, low back issues. So feel your tushy in the floor or in your heels if you're sitting in a hero's pose. And feel your tushy and really push your tushy to whatever you're sitting on. Let your tushy become your feet. Your tushy is supporting what's above. And then take what's above your tushy, your torso, your head, your arms, and align it. Push your torso back so you feel even more pressure straight down into your tushy. If you have your knees bent and you're in Vajrasana, hero's pose, you'll actually feel the buttock bones straight on the heel bones. And if you're on the ground with your legs crisscrossed, feel the tushy bones pressing into the floor, right and left. And then arrange yourself from there, growing out of your pelvis, your spine, 26 vertebrae. Imagine you have 26 teacups. Teacup, saucer, teacup, saucer, teacup, saucer. And with the eyes closed, can you find alignment? If there's a little twisting anywhere, a little rotation, can you unwind? Stack, stack, stack. And if you know you have scoliosis, unwind that scoliotic pattern. And if you don't know what it is, for most of the curves, most of them are right shoulder forward. So bring your awareness to your shoulders. And if you were up against a pane of glass, all of you, would one shoulder touch the pane of glass first? Or would your nose? Push your head back and try to allow your forehead, nose, tip of your chin, shoulder, shoulder, heart be what touches a pane of glass right in front of you. In this beautiful aligned position, do you hear any birds singing? Or do you hear the heartbeat of your house, buzzing, humming? Mouth is closed. Bring your awareness to your nostrils. And if you're feeling sensations physically, ignore them. Turn to your nostrils. Start to breathe in deep through the nostrils. Keep your mouth closed. Feel the temperature of the room, of the air that's coming in your body. Is it cool? Is it warm? Follow the breath in the nostrils. How far up can you notice the breath? Do you notice it all the way to the bridge where it starts to turn downward to go down into your lungs? And then follow the breath down into your lungs. In a seated position, you can expand your lungs in all ranges of motion, front to back, side to side, top to bottom. So do the front to back. When you breathe in, feel the front moving away from you and the back moving towards your spine and away. And feel yourself getting wider, forward and backwards. If your physical body is talking to you, bring your awareness to your lungs. Now side to side. Try to redirect like an unruly 2-year-old, temper tantrum throwing 2-year-old. Redirect, distract. Side to side, lungs are getting wider. Bring your awareness underneath your armpits to the right side, the left side. And as you breathe in, can you feel your ribs getting wider? You getting wider. Visualize a water balloon. If you place it on the ground, it goes from round to flat, like a pancake. Make yourself like a pancake. And these last few breaths, length into your body, top to bottom. Breathe up towards your head, down towards your pelvis. Feel yourself stretch. Feel your deep inside stretch. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring your awareness to your eyes. Open up your eyes and move so that you unbend your joints. So whatever was happening, whatever position, unbend your joints, take your limbs straight, let the blood come back. Look down at your feet, especially if you have no socks on and you could see white parts of your tissue and pink parts of your tissue, where you were putting your body weight. compressing fluids out of the tissue. You know, that's what happens, right? Our fluids travel in a closed system or circulatory system, and then they go through the capillary beds where the tubes get super, super small. And the things that can come out of the tubes of our vessels, blood vessels and veins, there's an exchange in the capillary beds. So we compressed our tissue. You're going to see white and pink because we squeezed the blood back into the system, which is good. So we're helping our body here with the transport of either the good coming back in now when it's open, or squishing the stuff that needed to be cleared out. And to take your legs a little wider and let your legs flop around. And then for me, I felt a lot of pressure on my feet. I was sitting on my feet, my heels, and when I moved my body weight back, I felt a lot of pressure, which is why I kept saying, redirect the unruly 2-year-old, redirect the mind, use somatic body awareness to redirect the mind. And that is what you do when you're not on your mat. When you're going to your past and remembering all the good things that are no longer there, or, you know, because we only think about that. We're not thinking about like the hard parts. We're worried about the future. Bring that unruly 2-year-old temper tantruming brain of yours back to the present moment. See, hear, smell, be super sensory aware to stop that erosion of the mind energy that goes into the body and breaks down our tissues. Stress is behind every illness that we have, everything, whether it's our feelings, our mental, emotional state, or eventually goes into the physical. So we say in yoga therapy that it starts here. It starts, the causal layer of everything is in the mind. Causal layer is here. Then it goes somatic, and you've heard psychosomatic. So start psycho, then it goes somatic. We say psychosomatic, then it becomes somatic. Now it's something you feel, something you have, symptoms are somatic. Then it goes into chronic, or it goes into disease states. When it's too much for too long, all that catabolic breakdown. So present moment, temperature of the breath on your nostrils, how far in does it go? Expanding your lungs in all the ways that they move. Keeping that unruly 2-year-old brain of yours. In yoga, they call it a monkey mind. And then sometimes they say it's a drunk monkey, or a drunk monkey bit by a scorpion. So you could just imagine the activity, and you know your own brain and how much activity you have, right? Okay, so we're going to go down onto the ground. We're going to begin by elevating our pelvis, giving our heart and our brain extra blood, which will help to relax the nervous system, the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, all good stuff. And it's also going to stretch the lower back because we're going to elevate our pelvis. The only people that should not do that are people who have unmanaged, out of control blood pressure. If it's controlled by medications, it's okay. All right, 2 blankets for some of you, because some of you may not like the big lift, and some of you may. If you are going to put a blanket underneath your pelvis, you would fold your blanket before you come down onto the ground. You could do a bolster under your pelvis, a much bigger lift. For some of you, that might be appropriate. You could do a block. And I would say for those of you that have SI joint issues, low back issues, pelvic issues, with uneven pelvis, and you want to be a little bit more intense, the block can give you a little bit more correction, not quite as enjoyable as a bolster would be. So you choose block, bolster, or blanket, elevating the pelvis, inversion, relaxing the nervous system, cardiovascular, respiratory, which is going to relax everything else and heal everything else, and stretch the low back, and you decide. Another blanket we may need for the top of our mat, if you are going to use one underneath. So just getting whatever. And also you could use pillows from around your house. What we are going to do though, and this is important, is that we are going to put whatever it is on our sacrum, the base of the spine, not in the low back, right? So you want it to be here, whether it's a bolster, whether it's a block, or whether it's a blanket, it's going to be here and not up here. All right. We'll also need a strap for later, so make sure you have a strap. So here we go. You choose which one you're gonna like. I'll tell you that this is delicious, really delicious. For some people, they're not able to lift their tushy high enough away from the ground to put a bolster under. And when I was in class, I would always walk over and have to help some people put their tushies under the block. So I just really miss that. I just miss being in class. I know you guys do as well. So one day soon, we'll be in person again. All right, so let's come on to our side. Let's bring ourselves all the way down onto the ground. Whatever it is you've chosen to do for yourself, whether that's the blanket, the block, or this bolster, go ahead and bring your feet closer to your body. Now, with the blanket at the head, very little blanket or no blanket at all. So choose accordingly. The higher you lift your pelvis off, the less blanket you should have behind your head. Walk your feet close. You could begin with a tilted pelvis. So actually, before you lift up, come down if you're up. Let's do a little to soften our back, to introduce movement into the pelvis, to get the body to relax, to feel okay to let go of any holding. So your feet are on the floor, your knees are bent. Let's do a little rocking of your pelvis. Hard for some of you, I know. Try to do a little rocking action. Try to flatten the low back, release the low back. Flatten the low back, release. Tilting the pelvis, getting some lubrication to come into your pelvis. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to neutral. Take whatever it is you're going to take. Walk your feet closer. Lift your pelvis up off the ground and place the block underneath. Try to find the sacrum, the center of your back pelvic area, and place the block or the bolster or the blanket under there. One of the B's. And then we want some length here. So press your arms into the ground, lift your rib cage up and lengthen. So really pull space between lower ribs and top pelvis, really lengthen across this midsection here. Slide your shoulder blades closer to each other. And then close your eyes. Let your arms be alongside your body or on your hip bones. Shoulder blades are towards your middle spine so that you don't let your chest collapse. The eyes are closed, the back teeth are separated. Notice any digestive sounds. Notice the feeling in your body. Be gentle with your breath. Mouth is closed. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. If you do hear digestive sounds, that's a sign that your body feels safe to digest. Because our body will not digest if it's scared or worried. So we need to be in the mindset to digest, not just that we gave our body food to digest. We also have to be in the mindset for digestion. So bring your awareness inward to yourself as a witness to notice what you notice. Your feet on the floor, the knees are bent. If you'd like to take the feet a little wider than the body, and then allow the knees to fall in towards each other. That could bring in a little more relaxation for the lower back area. Feel your pelvis on your prop and try to create as much length between the top of your pelvis and the back of the lower ribs. Bring your awareness to your lungs as you expand and contract. Noticing what you notice. See if you could breathe to the belly, letting your belly stretch. So you're breathing really deep and you feel a deep stretch in the belly. And your awareness is to the front of your belly and the sides of your belly. See if you could feel yourself stretching the belly, muscles and skin with breath. Now breathe in and breathe back to your low back. You breathe in and backwards. So you follow the breath in, and then you're at the low back, and you're directing the breath back towards the lower back, low spine. And all the way down to the tailbone of the low spine. Bring your awareness to your pelvis. If your hands are not on your hip bones already, bring your hands onto your hip bones. Have your elbows be right alongside your body. And whatever prop you're on, you're going to take one hand on one hip bone and push one hip bone down, push the other hip bone down. And push one hip bone down at a time, really gently and softly. You may feel some stretch. You may feel it along the SI joint, the lower sacral area, the sacrum, and how it attaches or where it attaches with the ligaments to the pelvic bones. See what happens. Use the heel of your hand. Go a little higher on your hip bones. Your eyes are closed, so you're going to feel your body here. Move your heel of your hand onto the top part of your hip bone, high up. Pushing one side and then the other, just noticing what you notice. This is one of the movements of the pelvis, one of the movements of the walking when you walk. And then take your heel of your hand, go a little farther down your hip bones, pressing one side and then the other towards the legs. Go slow. Be in your body. This is you knowing or experiencing what is safe for you. Manipulating your pelvis. Bringing a little gentle movement into the joints between the sacrum, which is the low spine, and the pelvis. And then take your hands to the top of your pelvis, the heel of your hand, right where that hip bone starts to go towards the sides. Push one side down and then the other. Go slow here. So I feel a lot of deep stretching. Make sure your chest is lifted up towards the sky. Pushing one side down and then the other. Think about a supermodel on the catwalk when she accentuates shortening one hip and then the other hip. Take your hands down and try this without hands. So you're going to shorten your left waist by drawing the top of the pelvis up towards the lower ribs. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Top of the right pelvis moves up towards the lower right ribs. And then left side. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's do posterior and anterior tilting. You're going to push your belly button towards your spine. Try to push the low back towards the ground. Feel the edge of the top of the pelvis at the back, pushing into the block, the blanket, or the bolster. Feel yourself rocking forward and back. This is, I believe, the Elvis Presley move. Elvis the pelvis. Pushing your belly button to your spine, pressing your low back towards the ground, feeling the top edge of your pelvis. Then bring yourself back to center. Let's walk the feet in. Let's bring the knees up. Take away a little bit of the tension in the pelvic area. You could keep your knees here if you'd like, or you could straighten one leg and then the other. Go slow, eyes are closed. Lubricating joints, playing around with the structural aspects of your skeleton. Then go ahead and bring your feet onto the ground. Push your feet into the ground slowly. Now, really slow, especially if you're on a block, you're going to feel a lot of pressure of your body on the block. Push your feet, walk your feet closer to your body. Push your feet in and peel yourself up and away. And then before you put yourself back down on the ground, pull your pelvis away from your ribs. Feel that lengthening inside your body. If you want to take your hands on the top of your pelvis, push your pelvis away. Tilt your pelvis backwards so that you try to put the low back on the ground. Go slow here. You could feel a lot of stretching happening in the lower back when you do this, especially with all that manipulation we just did. And then put your pelvis back down onto the ground. Walk your feet closer. Let's draw the knees into the chest. Notice what you notice. Eyes are closed. And then I want to come into a happy baby. So you're going to hold on underneath your legs, draw your knees towards your armpits, or reach up 2 fingers between the toes, thumb on the toenail. Really spread your legs like crazy and draw your knees towards your armpits. Now, your feet are not close together, so do not grab your feet or your toes if you need to bring your feet close together to do that. Hold on here to the femur bone, the top leg bone, and draw it towards your body, adding a posterior tilt, adding flexion into lower lumbar, taking tension out of that part of your body, low back, low spine. Happy baby can be a really nice low back release for many of you because it adds the opposite curves of the way that we normally stand. It adds flexion to the lower lumbar spine, releasing the tension of support from standing and sitting. And it adds a posterior pelvic tilt, which is why we get that flexion in the lumbar. And so takes away the tension. It's like turning off the valve of pressure. Happy baby, it's called. And then go ahead and bring your legs onto the ground. Let's come into a full body stretch. Slide your legs away, slide your arms away. And then you could flex your wrist. So flexing your wrist means bending. Bend the wrist. The heel of the hand reaches up towards the back wall, and the heels of the feet reach away to the wall away from you. Stretch your body glove. Feel your tissue stretch. Close your eyes. Do you feel stretch equally from right lower rib to left hip bone and from left lower rib to left hip bone? Stretching your torso. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and let your arms come to the side. Let's bend your knees. Take your feet as wide as your mat. And you'll notice when you do these things that things happen to your pelvis. So your pelvis, we are turning off the pressure valves in some of the movements we do. So this wider leg position, legs out to the side, little external rotation, kind of. And that's going to give a little release in the pelvic area. So take your arms out to the side. I'd like you to be in a position where you feel a stretch coming into your upper body. So lift your arms as high as you can, as high as your shoulders will let you. And then the soles of your feet are on the ground. Take an exhale. Take an inhale. And on your next exhale, press your low back towards the ground. Come into that posterior tilt. Inhale to release. Rock through the tailbone and the sacrum. Close your eyes. Exhale, rocking, tilting your pelvis backwards. Top of the pelvis touches the floor. Try to press the low back into the floor. Is the right and the left side pressing equally? Inhale to release. Exhale to rock and roll. Inhale to release. Exhale to rock and roll. And rock, so you flatten your low back and then come towards the tailbone on the inhale. Exhale and inhale. So we are lubricating your lower lumbar spine and where your sacroiliac, not your sacroiliac, your L5S1, where the lumbar connects to the sacrum. Maybe a little bit thoracic action here, especially where the lumbar becomes the thoracic. This is the largest part of your spine, and it's the part of your spine that doesn't have a lot of motion in it because it's designed for stability. So this is why so many of us have those low back issues, because this is what stabilizes you. And whatever happens above and below is going to have an effect right here. So tilting, hopefully this feels good for you. And then bring yourself back to neutral. Feel the sacrum in the ground. And then let's do a little side to side with your pelvis, with your legs. Keeping your tushy cheeks on the ground, just a tiny bit here, back and forth, in case we got a little sticky stuff that we got to dislodge. And then bring yourself back to center. Now we're going to do windshield wiper. We're going to go into the hip joint and try to get your legs to be soft as they attach to your body. So the toes are pointing forward, your eyes are closed. So you're going to feel your way into what these feelings or this position. Soles of the feet are on the ground. Let's move your knees over towards the right. Keep the soles gripping onto the ground. Let the knees go as far as they will with the soles of the feet staying where they are. And then come back up to center. Explore going to the left. Soles of the feet stay on the ground. Move your props away from you if they get in the way. Close your eyes. Feel the muscles that need to stretch to do this. Keep the soles of the feet on the ground. Stretching some of those hip flexor muscles going into the side body. You see how you're all connected? You're moving your legs, but you could feel that up into your pelvis. Your feet are as wide as your mat. You're going to start going a little bit bigger here. You could let the soles of the feet start to rock off the floor. You're going to be in your body, so your back's going to tell you, yeah, that's okay, or no, I don't like that. You're going to listen. Because if you don't listen, the tiny little annoying symptoms become big deals, and they become chronic issues. Can you feel your belly stretch? You have belly muscles that are becoming part of the rotational force. The next time you come over to the left, can you stay there? Your feet are about mat distance. You're letting your legs go to the side. You can let your head go to the right. Your legs are to the left. Eyes are closed to feel what's appropriate. Push your belly button back towards your spine. Where do you feel this? Inhale. And then exhale, bring yourself up, close your eyes, let your knees go over to the right, the head goes to the left. You're in your body to feel where you're stretching. Push your belly button to your spine to help protect the lower lumbar spine. One more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's bring your feet closer together. Take the right leg over the left and let the right back thigh touch the top left thigh. Take your hands, clasp your hands behind your head. Thumbs go down your neck. Hands clasp your head is resting in your hands. Your arms are out to the side. So we're going to stretch the low back here and the side body. This is not about the knees getting to the floor. This is about your pelvis tilting to one side and your ribs are pointing straight up towards the sky. So you're rotating the center of your body, which is the core muscles and the back muscles. We're going to be pulling on the ribs. So this is actually good for bone building stimulation in the ribs, which is important for us to keep our bones of our ribs nice and strong for bone health. And it's going to stretch the muscles. We're going to be pulling on the pelvis as well because the muscles attached to the pelvis. But what I don't want you to be focused on is how close can I get to the ground? I want you to think about how long can I get my waist? How much can I push that leg away from me as I rotate over to the side? So let's begin. Right leg is on top. The right back thigh is touching the top left thigh. I want you to get long in your right waist. So push the top right pelvis away from you. Notice if you feel a little tension on the left side as you bring yourself into elevation on one side. Take an exhale. And as you inhale, pushing the right leg away from you, sliding onto your left tushy. Lengthen the right side as you bring yourself over to the left. Long right side. Exhale, push your belly button back towards your spine and come back to center. Inhale, long right waist, push the top right leg away from your body. Push your low back towards the ground. That's another piece because you want to protect your low back. Don't let it go into that crazy extension and then have the back take all this pressure. Exhale back to center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, protect. Protect your belly, protect your low back. Push your belly button towards your spine as you come back up. One more. Inhale, lengthen, push that leg away from you. Stay here. Press your right elbow into the ground, press your left elbow into the ground. Really help support your body here. Push your right waist long, push your belly button towards your spine. Try to push the left lower back towards the ground. Take one more breath. And then slowly bring yourself up. Let's take that leg off. Take the left leg over. Let the left thigh touch the top of the right thigh. Find the length in your left side now. Push the left pelvis away. Long pelvis. Take an exhale. As you inhale, lengthen. Legs go over towards the right. As you exhale, protect. Press the belly button. Hug your lumbar spine with your core. Come back up to center. Really slow movement here because we're actually stretching ligaments, tendons, structural muscles, and we're adding some mobility as we lengthen our structure. And then exhale back. We're deep inside our skeleton. We're doing skeleton work. If you let your legs go all the way over to the ground, you're going to come into your big mover muscles, the bigger muscles that have more range of motion. But I want you to stay in your skeleton, in your joints. One more. You're going to inhale to the side with length. Push the left leg away. Roll onto your right tushy. Push your low back towards the ground on the right side. Hug your lumbar spine. Push your left leg away from you. And then bring yourself back to center. Take your legs off. Draw your knees into your chest. Draw your legs in. Let your low back press into the ground. Feel the pressure all the way up to the lower ribs. Rock side to side. Let's take the feet onto the ground. Grab your strap. Let's take the strap on the right leg, right foot. Keep your left leg bent. Hold on to your strap, wrap around. Now we're going to stretch below the pelvis. Take your leg back towards the wall behind you so you feel a pretty strong stretch in the back of your leg. You could start off with a straight leg and then do a little bend and straighten, bend and straighten. Try to let your kneecap bend straight towards your face, not out to the side. Just noticing what you notice here. And then go straight back, hold that center area. And then release. Take the strap in the right hand, move the leg about a foot out to the side, and then take the leg back towards the wall behind you. If you want to do a little bend and release, coming into a place of tension and a little tiny release, super little micro knee bend, nothing crazy. Feel that outer hamstring stretch. Then bring yourself back to neutral. Switch the strap. Hold on with the left hand. Take your leg, angle your leg, maybe a little internal rotation. Let me see. Ooh. Actually, just keep it pointing straight back. Take it over a little bit. Slight internal rotation. And then bring the leg back. And here you can do a little bend and release. And then make sure your right waist is nice and long. No short waists here. Push your low back into the ground. Protect your low back. And then come back to center. Let's take the strap off. Let's take the strap onto the other foot. Take your foot up into the sky. Hold on to the strap. Right knee stays bent. Then you're going to direct the leg back towards the wall behind you to a place where you feel tension. And then you do micro knee bends to come in and out. Now, I stay in the tension the whole time. I just go deeper and less deep. And make sure your left waist is nice and long. Don't let that get short. and then pull the leg back. Come back to center. Let's take the strap in the left hand. Take the foot about a foot away, and then direct the foot towards the wall behind you, exploring micro knee bend here. Micro knee bend and release. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take the strap in the right hand, foot closer to the midline, slightly angled in, and then draw the leg back towards the wall behind you. Slight bend and release. Bend and release. Micro. And then pull towards the wall behind you. And then go ahead, come back to center. Go ahead and release. Let's bring both feet up into the strap. Now, I have a pretty big strap here. I have a 10-foot strap. I realize that. Most of you don't. You have a 6-foot. So I don't know if you're going to be able to come into a super wide leg stretch with your strap. For those of you that don't need a strap, you could actually take your legs pretty wide without. You can take your hands on your outer thighs, stretching the adductor muscle group. You could have your legs straight or even bend your knees a little bit in a really wide stretch. And that'll stretch the inner thigh area. Important for the place of that in your pelvis. And then actually, if you roll onto your sacrum and your low back is not on the ground, you might even go to a different place of muscles in your legs that are attached to your pelvis. Do whatever you can or would like to. Take one more breath. And then draw the knees closer together. Hold on to your knees. We're going to do circles to relax the hip joint. So hold on to your knees, draw the knees towards you, separate them, push the legs away, and then draw the legs towards each other. Towards you, away, away, together. And then turn that into a circle. Hold on to your kneecaps, spread your fingers, grab your knees, your legs with your hands. So your hands are doing a lot of this work. Try to let your legs be heavy and relaxed. This will relax hips, relax pelvis, and low back. And then let's go the opposite direction. Legs are away, they go apart, they come towards the armpits, they come together, away, away, towards. Turn that into a circle. And then bring your knees to your chest. Draw your knees to your chest. Let's come onto our side. Take your hand on the ground, leading with your shoulder, bring yourself up. So we'll do a little here to stretch the back. Take your blanket onto your mat. Blanket goes onto the mat. We're going to stretch our spine. So just a little thing about osteoporosis for those of you that have it. Because this is on YouTube, you can watch this anytime. This part of your body, right here, these, why do I keep forgetting? 7? T8, 9, 10, 11, 12, L1, and 2. 7 vertebra, where half of all the fractures occur because we squeeze it into each other. We push our low ribs towards our back and we're rounded in our upper spine. So we're going to stretch our spine without doing that. So take your hands forward, push your heart towards the ground. This is a nice way to stretch the back and the spine. But the key is, where's your pelvis? If your pelvis is right above your knees, won't do so much. But if your pelvis moves back and you bend your hips more and your knees a little, then you're actually using a weight pulling back to stretch. Then take your hands as wide as you need them to be to see if you can get your forehead to touch the ground. When you're here, you could wag your tailbone, tiny, like 1/2 inch in each direction, lengthening
and wagging the tailbone as if you had a Sharpie marker and you're going to make a line 1 inch to the right, 1 inch to the left. Push your heart to the ground. And then take one more breath.
We are going to stretch the upper back because the upper back may be pulling on the lower back for those with low back issues, right? So here's your heart light. These are your hips. Hip light, heart light. When we do rotation, the heart lights move away. The hip lights are still pointing forward. Heart lights move away. So we're going to come onto the ground. We're going to have one arm on the ground. We're going to take the other arm and we're going to, it's called threading the needle. We're going to bring it through like this and we're going to stretch the upper back here. It's done on the ground. It looks like this when it's done on the ground. So my heart is trying to push this direction. My hips are pointing straight down towards the ground. So let me talk you into this. From the position you were in, which is called puppy dog, you walk, let's walk the left hand closer to the body. Take the right hand so the palm is facing you. Underneath your armpit, right underneath your armpit, you're going to slide your right hand underneath your left. And then see if you could rest your head on the ground. You could come onto fingertips in the left hand, bending the elbow. And the goal is to try to see the ceiling. Push the back of the right hand into the ground. Push your hips to the right. And try to turn your heart to point underneath your left armpit. The farther back the tushy is, the more you'll feel the stretch. And the less you'll feel this pressure in your head. Really push the back of the right arm in. The right shoulder is not touching the ground. The right back hand is touching the ground. Take one more breath. You're going to bring yourself back. You're going to bring yourself back to your neutral. And then take right hand to the center. Left palm faces you. Thread the needle. Left hand reaches under towards the right. Put the left hand, or the left head, not your right head, your left head. Put your head onto the ground to rest, not to lean into it. Press the left hand into the floor. Left shoulder does not touch the floor. And try to turn your heart underneath your right armpit. Breathe deeply. Take one more breath. Bring your hands back, forward, look up this time, almost like you're trying to get your chin to touch the floor. Or maybe you can get your chin to touch the floor. Actually, let me see. Chin on the block. Or forehead on the block. Forehead on the block, chin on the block, or chin on the ground. Push your heart towards the ground. Feel that crazy deep stretch in the upper body. Make sure that your pelvis is hovering over your calves, not your knees. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Oh boy, stretchy, stretchy. I'd like you to pay attention to how you're feeling right now, because the stress receptors in the body actually help to stimulate parasympathetic nervous system, and the rotational aspect of the spine, which is what we just did, is innervated with parasympathetic nervous system responders, set receptors. So that actually is going to have an ability to actually stimulate relaxation. I feel super relaxed right now. So I'm wondering if that's you. All right, I'd like to do turtle because this is a great way to stretch the low back. As long as you keep your awareness on the 8 vertebra right by the heart down to the belly button, that you do not push them into each other on the front. So it's called turtle. The foot position is like this. The hand position is like this. The hands go underneath the legs and you come forward, stretching the heck out of your low back. Now, really be careful with rounding. I wouldn't actually recommend that anybody with osteoporosis does this unless, of course, you had a lot of body awareness and you could really maintain, and even then I don't think I would. But turtle here to get a really deep stretch, push the pelvis into the ground. Push your arms into the ground, lengthen your spine, really pull your head away from your tailbone. Find as much length as you can here. So forward folding is one of the ways we stretch the low back, yet it's counterindicated for those with osteoporosis. So it becomes a real challenge to find a way to stretch the low back muscles when you have osteoporosis. Take one more breath. And the understanding of stretching from where the top of the pelvis is to where the bottom of the ribs are in the back is what it is we're trying to focus on. All right, so let's get up and do a little bit for the feet. Come onto your knees, take a foot back and flip the toes under and push your heel back so you feel the calf stretch. Do whatever you need to do to your hands because your wrists are going to get stretched here. Really push back. Try to be in the pinky. So even tilt your heel towards the floor. So you're really trying to stretch the pinky. And then you're going to bring yourself up onto your big toe and push back. Go into different area maybe. And then come to center and push the heel back. And then let's go to the other side. Flip the toes under, push the heel back. Long spine, keep your head lifted. And then come to the pinky toe edge. So the heel reaches towards the ground or kind of turns out towards the ground. Pushing back. Then come onto the big toes area. So the heel's moving in towards the midline. And then straight. And bring yourself up. Let's take your wrists, shake your wrists. Shake, stretch the wrists. And then we're going to come up and do a little deeper calf stretch. So it may not be for all of you, but really it's about how much you bend yourself, you bend your joints to see what you can do here. So take your hands pretty wide, point your fingers are forward, knees are wide, and then flip your toes under. And then let's do a little back and forth here. This is bending the hip. If you had raw eggs in between your low belly and the top thighs, you would crack them when you come back because you're bringing your low belly closer to your top thighs. That's hip flexion. Keep your head forward here. This can be nice for the pelvis, can be a little bit nice for freeing up tension in the pelvis and how it relates to the low back. And then the next time you come back, you're going to come back, you're going to push your toes into the ground and lift your tushy up off the ground. Look forward. See if you could take one heel at a time towards the ground. Straight back here. So push your heart towards the ground. Really spread your fingers. Bending your hip. Try to push, especially the outside edge of the heel, the outer edge of your heel towards the ground. Then push both heels towards the ground straight. Try to go towards straight legs. Bending at the hip joint. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself down. Bring yourself out. Bring yourself up. Notice what that did for you. I don't mean in terms of strength, I mean mentally and emotionally. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. Can I do this? Should I be up here? I need to go down. Just whatever it does. Coming up and weight bearing on our body in an upside down, not normal position is a challenge. Something it takes a little while to warm up to or develop strength towards. So, all right, let's come here. So one of the greatest ways to stretch the low back area between the lower ribs and the top pelvis is to bend your body side to side. So we're gonna do a little lateral movement here. So if you can reach your arm up, if your shoulders will let you reach your arm up side to side. And if not, you could let your elbow lift up. Just try to get a stretch. Pull the ribs away from the pelvis. Ribs away. And then one more, each side. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's come all the way down onto your mat. So come here, go back and forth on your pelvis, rocking side to side. And then bring yourself all the way down. So we're going to end with a twist. I want you to pay attention here to your body and see how the body feels. So let's take the leg, let's take the right leg straight, take the left leg on top of the right leg, left on top of the right. And then you're going to have your arms to the side, take an inhale. As you exhale, can you bring your leg over to the right? See what feels appropriate for you here. You're definitely in the low back. Hopefully it's nice and warm and lubricated. Push your belly or hug your lumbar spine with your core. So either pushing the belly muscles back towards the core or hugging the lumbar spine. If your left shoulder blade comes away from the floor, that's okay. And then take that left arm. You can reach that arm up and down. Just feeling your way into what feels appropriate for you, twisting. And then bring yourself back up to center. Come back to center. Let's straighten the left leg. Take the right leg on top of the left thigh. Inhale. And then exhale, pushing yourself over to the left. Feeling this in your body. Breathe down to your belly. Take one more breath. Bring yourself back to center. Let's take the right kneecap and the left kneecap. Your hands are open and you're holding onto your knees like crazy. Really hold on, like squeeze your kneecaps by pushing your fingers into your legs to really hold on. Then let your legs kind of move away from your body. Arms are straight. Inhale. As you exhale, draw the knees straight towards the chest. Feel the low back pressing into the ground. Inhale to straighten the arms. Exhale, bend the elbows. Draw the knees in, compress the abdominal area. Press low back into the ground. Inhale to straighten. Exhale and inhale. Last one, draw the knees in, bring your arms to the side, feel the low back on the ground and rock side to side, pretty big so you go across the whole top back part of your pelvis. And then let your feet go back down to the ground. So it's time to allow the integration of whatever was just practiced today to go into your body. Legs up a wall may be good. Legs with a bolster underneath your knees would be fantastic. So if you have pillows or bolster to put on your knees, go ahead and get that. Or you could come into the traditional Shavasana with really spread legs, letting everything relax. Govinde Mukande, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame, Govinde Mukande, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame, Govinde Mukande, Udare apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Nirname 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 Akame, Govinde Mukande, Udare apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness to your body as you start to bring movement into your body. Moving in whatever way feels appropriate until you end up with your knees into your chest. Rolling onto your right side. And then any side, actually. The right side is whatever side that is for you. Take your hand, push yourself up and away. We'll close with sound. So find yourself in a position that you can bring sound into your body. Bringing your hands together. The thumbs touch the sternum bone and the sternum bone presses into the thumbs. We're going to do a sound. So let's take a big exhale to make lots of space. Deep inhale. Bowing in gratitude, in recognition, in respect. Namaste. All right. So hopefully you feel okay. And we're very somatic today in the practice, very body aware, very present moment in our body, feeling, noticing, releasing tension in ligaments and joints, bringing lubrication, hydration, and hopefully repatterning some memories that exist in your body as you start to dislodge some of the holding that's taking place and free up space for a new memory and a new pattern, one that is pain-free, more healthy, and very spacious. All right. How do you feel? I'm super, super duper relaxed today. Okay, good. Oh, Martha, you heard a dog. Okay, that's super interesting. Was it a small little bark? I've got a dog. I had 2 dogs, but one of them is no longer in her body in this earth. She's super old, my dog. She's got dementia. She's blind, and she's always barking. She's really little. So I was wondering if you're hearing that. Good, Pat. Well, you always feel good anyway, it seems. So that's good. Yes, thank you, Joanne. Good, Nancy. I love to hear that. Lovely. I think I used that word today, Lynn. I've been using that word because I just love it. All right, Pollyanna. Nice to hear that. All right. Well, I hope you all feel great. And I'm off to see the wizard. Off to get my hair done again. So anyway, all right. I hope that you have a beautiful Saturday wherever you are. I hope it's a good one. All right. Until we meet again, have fun. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like, please. Thumbs up. Great, Pollyanna. Nice to hear that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.